There's something peaceful, something cathartic about seeing little low-poly characters chilling out in a 6th gen space. I don't exactly know what it is, but let's find out together. I got a whole series on this. Hello and welcome to the channel, guys. Today we're kicking off what I hope is going to be a new series that I am calling Virtual Tourism. Basically we're going to be bumbling around in games, probably mostly Dreamcast ones, just having a look at the art style, the aesthetic, the vibe, and just taking in what makes the game so charming and appealing. And we're kicking things off with Jet Set Radio because that game turns 25 this month, and it's just a very visually appealing game anyway. It's also not the biggest game in the world. We've only got 3 main locations that we're going to be talking about, so I don't envision the video being too deep of a dive. So Jet Set Radio, as you probably know if you're here, was an action platforming game by Sega all about cool roller skating people doing graffiti around Tokyo. It spawned a sequel on the Xbox inspired Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, and it's coming back at some sort of reboot maybe this year. But for now I just want to talk about the OG game. And that means we got 3 primary locations we're going to be thinking about. We got Shibuya-cho, which is the daytime area, all of the sort of marketing, shopping streets, that kind of thing. We got Kogane-cho, which is set at dusk, and that's more construction stuff and docks and little rundown ramshackled areas. And we got Benten-cho, which is the big booming nightlife type area with all the neon everywhere. I suppose we'll have a little look at Grind City as well. So we'll start things here in the Scramble, Shibuya. This is the first area of the game that you'll see anyway because it's where you do your training around this bus terminal. It's a bright, busy, hustly bustly transport hub, but it's still pretty chill and peaceful. If you go out to the main Shibuya Scramble area, you can see all the people coming across that famous crossing. It's really nice. Also a great area for spotting made up or parody brands. It's got that super Sega look everywhere with the oversaturated colours and the bright blue sky overshadowing everything, but you also get some cool sort of liminal spaces with a bit of an uncanny vibe if you poke around and hang out a little bit. This game is normally very arcadey and played on a timer, so this kinda poking around, exploring and looking at random objects thing is not necessarily what the devs were thinking of when they made the game, but there's still some really cool spots to see. I like this little park area here with the elephant slide. I think one of the big appeals for me about Jet Set Radio is pissing about in liminal spaces, so construction sites and sewers and other places that maybe you generally shouldn't be as a general member of the public. I don't know if this is a universal thing for everybody's childhood or if this more says something about me, but I used to love trespassing in random areas when I was a kid. Not doing anything highly illegal, just if there was a cool factory or something, I'd bust in there and have a look around. Let's just pop over to Grind City and look at Bantam Street and Grind Square. That's the kind of New York standing in this game, and it's the other daytime area. I do actually like Grind City even though you're not there for very long, because obviously it's very American style where the rest of the game is very Japanese, so it just provides a bit of a different aesthetic with the apartment blocks and building styles all just being a little bit different and having their own vibe that just looks a lot more American. And I don't know, hanging out at the basketball courts is pretty chill. Grind Square, an obvious parody of Times Square, has again got neon everywhere, and we can have a lot of fun looking at the signs: Sega.com, Florage Paris, Soft Pixel, Oriental Fast Food Cook. Okay. And that's enough of that, so let's move the clock forward to dusk and check out Kogane-cho. Straight away a different vibe here, a lot more run down, a lot more industrial. I like these houses on stilts and the wharf over the water, there's something very cool about them. Not least of all the fact that we bust through them with our skates later. But again, because this game's on a timer, chances are you've never actually stopped and looked at the residents in there, and there are some characters hanging out. I also think the skyline of Koganicho is very dramatic with this sort of reddy-orange tint, and as I say, the slightly more industrial feel to it with the telegraph poles and this big water tower or whatever it is. I've always just thought this looks really iconic. All of the districts are really good for people spotting. There's some really good low poly people in this game with different funny faces. And I also like the very Japanese architecture here with the way the houses in the streets are built up and backwards, a lot more densely packed than you might see in Europe or America. Now let's go to Benton Show, because I think that's one of the most iconic areas in Jet Set Radio. Whenever I say Jet Set Radio, I'm generally thinking about Benton Show. The night sky, the neon everywhere, the streets and alleys here with the bars and izakayas, this big plaza here with the animatronic octopus, it's just all very cool and very nice. Again, it's a large area with some variety to it. So the main nightlife street here kinda reminds me of Debuita from Shenmue with all the drunk salarymen stumbling around. But then there are also still areas that are under construction or little strange alleyways here like Garam's Inn looking like he's out of a new metal video. There's something about the simplicity of Jet Set Radio that makes all of this work. I do appreciate that we've been living in the era of the open world game for quite some time now, so I'm sure there's 100 games I could throw on and see a cool nighttime city. But there's something about the art style of Jet Set Radio that really makes everything pop, the simplicity of the low poly characters, the sparseness and uncanniness of the spaces, the attention to detail of all the little signage. There's a lot of unique assets to find and enjoy, which is really refreshing. Jet Set Radio at its core is really a game that's about freedom, be that the freedom of artistic expression or just literally the freedom of moving around and going wherever you want. And I think that's one of the things that makes the city feel so memorable, is that it doesn't really feel restrained. You can go wherever you want. You see a building and you think, what's on top of there? Go check it out. You see a sewer and you want to jump down it? Why not? It's a game that rewards curiosity, and that really was a thing for Sega at this time. But I think that's going to do it for me today, friends. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed having a look around Tokyo with me, and please tune in next time when we'll explore somewhere else, presumably. Peace.